Today's video, I wanted to talk about not giving up as an artist, even if you might feel like it right now. I think a lot of artists struggle with insecurity and feeling discouraged by their apparent lack of improvement and comparing themselves to other artists, as I've spoken about many times on my channel. Basically, I think this video could be relevant to a lot of artists, and especially a lot of you who watch my channel, because most of my content is about art motivation, or just sort of art mental health, or like art related thoughts, not necessarily giving art advice, but like sometimes, but most of my videos are kind of me just rambling about my thoughts as an artist and struggles as an artist. So, first, I want to start by talking about dealing with insecurity and placing too much value on your traction on social media, or lack thereof, or your finances, the amount of money you make from your art, etc. One thing it's easy to forget when you are an artist who shares your art online is why you make art in the first place and who you're making art for. It's easy to get caught up in making art for other people, or at least that's the way that you perceive it, because you want to get more traction, because that traction gives you validation. When you get too caught up in seeking that external validation from getting lots of views and making art to receive this validation, it sort of causes you to lose passion for making art. And when you stop receiving that external validation, or you're not getting as many views, whatever, it can be really discouraging, because you're like, okay, well, no one cares about my art, so what's the point of making or continuing to make art in the first place? Or if you're not making lots of money from your art, it's very easy to feel like, okay, well, I am not making an income as an artist, so I need to go and try to make a career in something else, and then leads to you giving up. But one thing that is important to remember as an artist is your journey is not linear, and this external validation, whether it's money or views, whatever, social media traction, comes in waves, sort of. It's never going to be consistent, and whether or not it's seemingly increasing or decreasing, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be going up and down no matter what. And even if it seems like it's trending downwards, back to what I was saying before, it doesn't matter, because the reason you make art is for yourself. You need to remind yourself of that anytime you start to feel discouraged and feel like giving up. And that leads me to my next point, which is feeling like you're not making progress, or feeling dissatisfied with the progress that you've made, or feeling like you're working really hard but not seeing any progress. That's something that I struggle with, and it sort of relates to something I'll talk about later on in this video, is being too hard on yourself, or not seeing the value in your art, and comparing yourself to others, which makes you think, once again, what's the point? Why am I even drawing? Like, I might as well just give up. And then you just get discouraged and lose passion for making art. So that's like not great. But anyways, I was saying, once again, your progress is going to come in waves. It's not linear. It's going to be up and down. You're going to sometimes it might not even be up and down. You might even feel like you're getting worse, or like you're not seeing any progress at all. But the way that art, at least in my experience, I feel like there comes a time where you discover one thing and it drastically improves your art, rather than like learning all these little things and like all of it coming together. I mean, slowly over time, yeah, that might be how it is, and you might feel dissatisfied with that progress. Like if you're learning fundamentals and you're practicing figure drawing and all that, obviously that's going to help you improve slowly over time. But I feel like once you discover something and it sort of clicks in your brain, your art sort of, the improvement sort of spikes up, if that makes sense. For example, when I was younger, would, I had a lot of those like manga artwork, like draw step by step books, or like I had the Disney versions of that. And I didn't fully understand what was happening in the process and why it was happening. Specifically, the head, drawing a human head, and like why the artist would put like a center line and like a line for where the eyes are and all that. Once I figured that out, proportioning just made sense to me and I was able to do it so much easier. But before I understood that, my art was like obviously was slowly improving and the proportioning was sort of getting into looking better, but once I had finally understood, okay, these are what these lines are for and knew how to use them, then I was able to improve a lot more and consistently be better. I hope that made sense. And that leads into my next point, which is talking about being too hard on yourself or not seeing the progress and not seeing your value as an artist or thinking that you're good enough. And this sort of correlates to comparing yourself to other artists online. And this is something I've fallen into, and I think is one of the reasons why I've felt really discouraged from drawing recently, is because subconsciously I feel like I'm a bad artist because I've been exposed to all of these artists online and I compare myself to those artists and I think, well, I'm not good enough. Like, why do I even consider myself an artist? Because I could never create what these other artists are creating, or I'm not as consistent at making art as them, or I don't have as many followers as these artists. Not as many people care about the art that I have to create. I can't draw poses as well as these artists. I can't create these original artworks like these other artists because most of my art is stemmed from fan art. So just all of these thoughts adding up together have really discouraged me from continuing to create art. And it's not even that I really want to make a career out of my art. It's just even maintaining art as a hobby is something that I have felt discouraged from doing recently. And it's really not great because obviously with this channel, I am passionate about making videos and I am passionate about art, but in my head, I think I'm not good enough to have a platform as an artist, and I feel like I don't have anything valuable to share because I'm inexperienced and because I'm not an art student and because I don't have a cajillion sales on Etsy or a cajillion subscribers on YouTube or a lot of followers or engagement on Instagram or make artwork that's even that good. A lot of my artwork I feel looks really stiff and doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't have a lot of expressiveness or movement, or I see a lot of flaws within my art, and especially when I compare myself to other artists. And over time these beliefs have sort of discouraged me from making art, as I said, but also have made it hard for me to even try to improve. Number one, because I feel like what's the point, and number two, feeling as though I am capable of drawing these harder things, whereas before, when I was in high school, for example, when I felt a lot more confident about my art, although it was a misplaced confidence. Okay, I wouldn't say that, but I was just my ego as an artist that was what was getting in the way of my improvement, was my ego and not taking criticism. But at least with that ego, I was delusional enough to believe that I could draw these super complicated things, and therefore I would not give up in the process of drawing whatever this complicated thing is, and therefore I would succeed at drawing it. Whether it was good or not is subjective, and I thought it turned out well. I was happy with most of my artworks in high school, but my point is I was confident in my art and I believed that I was capable of drawing these things, and so I was motivated and I felt like I was good enough to be an artist, and now I don't. So that's not great, and it's led to me feeling like giving up. We're just being hard on ourselves. And although we might not see it right now, every artist has some sort of value to contribute to the art community and society as a whole. Even if you feel dissatisfied with your artwork, there is someone out there that will see it and will be amazed by it, or feel something from looking at it, or it resonates with them somehow. You get my point. The last thing I want to talk about is, as I mentioned earlier, I was talking about ego and how that can lead to you feeling like giving up, because when you have a really big ego as an artist, it gets in the way of seeing the reality of where your art is in terms of quality, and ignoring criticism and not recognizing or making excuses for the flaws or shortcomings in your artwork, and therefore you don't work on them or work to improve them. And as a result, if you do apply to any art jobs, or you're looking for work as an artist, because you haven't spent the time improving these shortcomings and you can't take criticism, those shortcomings will be your downfall in terms of not getting these opportunities from employers, and not getting to work as an artist, and constantly being turned away will lead to you feeling discouraged and wanting to give up, because, well, you feel like, well, my art's so amazing and I don't understand, like, obviously this and this might be wrong with it, but it's because of this and this, and like, this particular artwork only looks this way because of this, and I did this because this is apparently the reason to everything in this scenario. But making all these excuses for why your artworks aren't good enough, sorry, not that they're not good enough, but of how they could be improved, it leads to you lacking the motivation to improve, or the realization that you might need to work on some things. And if you don't work on those things, then you are likely going to get continuously turned away for the same reason. And if you can't recognize what the problem is and you keep getting turned away, you're probably going to give up. So that's my 2 cents on why you shouldn't give up as an artist. Let me know if something I blabbed about in this video was helpful. I know in this video I talked a lot about how I personally feel like giving up as an artist, but I hope you know that I'm not going to give up. I trust that with time I will slowly get back into art. I've been trying to draw at least once a day, but the drawings I've been making are like less than 2 minutes in length. Like, it took me less than 2 minutes to draw them, and I used printer paper and a Sharpie to make them, which, like, I'm not saying that the supplies matter or anything, or the tools that you use to create whatever art, or the time that went into creating said art, but needless to say, I know I'm capable of better, and the drawings I've made so far are not the greatest, but that's okay. I'm probably going to make a video about it and talk about my experience. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop yapping. Trust that videos will continue to come out on this channel. Thank you for remaining a part of the cult. Please subscribe if you haven't already to join the cult. We'd love to have you here. We have a great time. Give the video a like if you did learn anything. Comment anything related to the topic of this video, your own experience, any advice you might have. We'd all love to hear it, and I try to read all the comments and reply to as many of them as I feel inclined to reply to. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.